Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Colombo Medical Congress 2024, an esteemed annual event hosted by the Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo, in proud partnership with the Colombo Medical School Alumni Association. Under the theme, Advancing Health and Wellness Through Impactful Research, CMC 2024 spotlights the power of evidence-based studies in revolutionizing healthcare, enhancing patient care, and addressing emerging challenges. Together, let us embark on a journey of collaboration and innovation to shape the future of medicine. Welcome to CMC 2024. Please rise for the procession to enter the hall. May I kindly request everyone to remain standing for the national anthem, followed by the faculty song.
සරසවි හදවත වන් කිතුදුලු තිරසර මවුනප වෙද විදුහල
අල්ගල හිදය කනියවලා මෘත්තුව පීඩතාය වඩා
සැනසුසලී දැටි පුදදී නොව පැරදී රකිමු වැදී
நலமும் கொடுத்ததே எங்கும் கருண்யத்தை பரப்பிடுவோம்
පින්වමු දස්කම් නන් පසේ සිංහමු රෝපිය මන්තුසේ නංවමු යහදම් නොකුසේ වන්දමු කිත්දද ලක් දෙසේ
අල්ගල හිදය කනියවලා මෘත්තුව පීඩතාය වඩා
සරසවි හදවත වන් කිතුදුලු තිරසර මවුනප වෙද විදුහල
திறமைகள் ஆற்றல்கள் படைத்தவளின் பதம் தொழுதே புகழ் காத்திடுவோம்
සුවය සැපත හැම සත වෙත සාදා සදමු පවෙත මෙත අත අත වීදා
As we begin this auspicious occasion, let us light the traditional oil lamp, a symbol of wisdom, knowledge, and prosperity. I kindly invite the following dignitaries to join us in this ceremonial act. Vice Chancellor, Professor H.D. Karunaratna, Dean Vijayadoti, Professor Vajra Disanayaka, Chief Guest, Chairman UGC, Professor Kapila Seneviratna, Keynote Speaker, Dr. Ajanta Attukorala, Faculty Orator, Dr. Nilanka Vikramasinghe, COMSA President, Dr. D.K.D. Matthew, COMSA President-elect, Professor Ishandi Zoisa, Academic Co-Chair, Professor Anuja Abedira and Professor Hemali Gunasekara, Course Secretary, Dr. Asha Vettasinghe, Registrar, University of Colombo, Mrs. K.C. Sanjeevani Pereira, Assistant Registrar, Faculty of Medicine, Assistant Registrar, Faculty of Medicine, Mr. Vajra Hettiarachi, Bursa, University of Colombo, Mrs. Tanuja Dharmasena, Senior Assistant Bursa, Faculty of Medicine, Ms. Himani Rajapaksha, Non-Academic Staff, Mrs. KBS Manel, and MFSU President, Mihita Minodana. Thank you for gracing this moment with your presence. May this flame inspire us to achieve excellence and illuminate the path of knowledge. Please take your seats. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, Vidya Jyoti, Professor Vajra Disanayaka, to deliver the welcome address.
Chief guest, Chairman of the University Grants Commission, Professor Kapila Senviratne, Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo, Professor H.D. Karunaratne, the President of the Colombo Medical School Alumni Association, Dr. Darrell Matthew, keynote speaker this evening, Professor Ajanta Athukorala, the faculty orator this evening, Dr. Nilanka Wickramasinghe, the High Commissioner to New Zealand in Colombo, the Deputy High Commissioner of the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland, I think, you represent both in Colombo. My academic colleagues, the Registrar of the University of Colombo, the Senior the Deputy Bursar of the University of Colombo, my own Registrar and the Senior Assistant Bursar, academic colleagues, distinguished invitees, students, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the inaugural ceremony of the Colombo Medical Congress for the year 2024. The Colombo Medical Congress was instituted in the year 2020 when the Faculty of Medicine celebrated our 150th anniversary, and thereafter every year we have been having our annual Colombo Medical Congress. The Congress spreads through a week of activities, and the co-chair of the scientific committee in her talk would elaborate on those activities. The activities are designed for us not only to give a flavor of what an academic congress is to our students, but also to enable various stakeholders of our faculty, starting with the alumni, the other professional groups, various professional colleges and associations, and the wider community to engage us. This year, we also invited the High Commissioners of United Kingdom as well as New Zealand, because increasingly our alumni or our graduates are seeking employment in those countries, and as a result there is ongoing engagement of those doctors who are working there with us and establishing some form of diplomatic relations or formal relations through diplomatic circles is becoming very important. So therefore, I'm particularly pleased High Commissioner and Deputy High Commissioner, that both of you are here today gracing the occasion. The Colombo Medical Congress this year focuses on how impactful research conducted in the faculty contributes to health and well-being. We have started looking at health and well-being in the broader context, bringing in social determinants of health, as well as the wider determinants of health, such as climate change and the effects of climate change on health. So, with that in mind, we had a very significant pre-Congress workshop a few hours ago in this very hall in collaboration with Lancet, the prestigious journal, where we launched, we had a Sri Lankan launch of their annual report, which is titled the Countdown Report on Health and Climate Change. It would certainly set the agenda for the future of our faculty as well as the Center for Planetary Health that we have established in this faculty. We are in this faculty moving also on other dimensions as well. Mental health and mental resilience, by bringing into forefront the ancient practices of meditation, has also been one of the new areas that we have ventured into. And over the past few years, we have been able to generate scientific evidence on the benefits of that. And I think the evidence coming from the Center for Meditation Research is groundbreaking, because although we know that these practices have had health effects, we have never, like in the past, proved that through scientific research in this country. So we have done that. Now we are doing that for the first time, and that is also something that we've moved into. With the advent of, or should I say, digitalization and AI coming into the forefront, we have also articulated a vision for the faculty called Future Doctors, where we are looking at integrating data sciences, digitalization, genomics, and AI into our curriculum, and looking at the curriculum in a different way. And we are planning to embark on that next year. This faculty, being the faculty with the largest number of academic staff members and extended faculty members because of the Colombo group of hospitals, which have the largest clinical centers, not only in our country but anywhere in the world, is able to offer much to the rest of the medical education community, as it were. The other day we had the Honorable Prime Minister here in this very hall at another function which was organized by the National Science Foundation, and when I met her and I greeted her, the immediate request from her was, I was waiting to talk to you because we need your help to support the newer medical schools, newer medical faculties to come up to speed, because we as a country cannot let them behind or leave them behind. So that is an important contribution that we can make to the country as we go forward, and with the blessings of the chairman of the UGC, who have honored us this evening with his presence today, I'm sure we can serve a national need that is felt urgently now than ever before. Our Vice Chancellor has also been a pillar of strength to us throughout, supporting us in various ways, encouraging us to seek new ground. And sir, thank you very much. You are here for the second time in 3 hours at 2 events. And I and my colleagues in the faculty value the support that you are giving us and the encouragement that you are giving us. The Colombo Medical School Alumni Association has been a tower of strength to us. This lovely building that you are in is the biggest investment any government has made, I should say the people of the country has made on a medical school in this country. It's a 9 billion rupee investment. But as we were coming to the end of its completion, the economic crisis came and we were unable to put the finishing touches to it. We reached out to our alumni through the Colombo Medical School Alumni Association, and they supported us in magnificent ways. And all alumni from throughout the world, from Canada to US to UK to Australia to New Zealand and other parts, have come forward to help us through the Colombo Medical School Alumni Association, and I'm deeply indebted to the Colombo Medical School Alumni Association, COMSA, for all the support that they are giving our faculty. And that has helped us to reach new heights and reach new goals that we have not been able to. As we venture into an era of, so I'd like to thank Dr. Matthew for his presence here, and of course the entire COMSA for all the support that they are giving us. As we enter into the artificial intelligence era, as it were, it is so very important for us to work with our own colleagues in the University of Colombo School of Computing. And today we have none other than the director of the University of Colombo School of Computing, Professor Ajantha Tukorala, who also happens to be the president of the Computer Society of Sri Lanka, with us today. Thank you very much, Ajantha, for accepting our invitation. We are looking forward to your keynote talk in a little while. The inauguration of the Colombo Medical School, the Colombo Medical Congress, is also an opportunity for us to showcase the best of our up and coming alumni. That we do through the faculty oration. And today we have a bright young alumni, a bright young academic, Dr. Nilanka Wickramasinghe, delivering the faculty oration. And we look forward to her oration as well as the inspiration that she brings to the other young members in the audience today. With those words, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank all of you who have accepted our invitation and joined us today this evening. I hope you will enjoy the rest of the proceedings and take fond memories from this evening and continue to engage and support our faculty in the years to come. Thank you very much.
We are privileged to have among us esteemed leaders and scholars who will preside over today's event. They're none other than our academic chairs. Professor Hemali Gunasekara, representing the Department of Anatomy, Genetics and Biomedical Informatics, and Professor Anuja Abedira, representing the Department of Anesthesiology and Critical Care. Professor Hemali Gunasekara will now introduce you the academic program.
Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. Our guest speaker, Professor Kapila Senaviratne, Chairman, University Grants Commission, Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo, Senior Professor H.D. Karunaratne, Co-Chairs of the Congress, Vidya Jyothi, Senior Professor Vajra Disanayaka, Dean, Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo, and Dr. D.K.D. Matthew, President, Colombo Medical School, Alumni Association. Keynote speaker, Professor Ajanta Hatukorala. Faculty orator of the evening, Dr. Nilanka Wickramasinghe. High Commissioner of New Zealand to Colombo. Deputy High Commissioner of the United Kingdom and Ireland. Deans, heads of departments, and other academic staff, non-academic staff of the Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo, other universities, and all distinguished invitees, students, ladies and gentlemen. I, together with Professor Anuja Abedira, scientific co-chairs, warmly welcome you to the inauguration ceremony of the Colombo Medical Congress 2024. The theme of this year's Congress is Advancing Health and Wellness through Impactful Research. The main aim of our Congress is to highlight research done by our academics and alumni and other Sri Lankans practicing in various fields of medicine in Sri Lanka as well as abroad, and to show the translational impact of their work. The Congress deliberations commenced with the pre-Congress events held over the past 2 days. 8 pre-Congress workshops on a wide range of topics ranging from laboratory medicine to clinical medicine, women's issues, planetary health, and artificial intelligence, as well as workshops on self-care and mental well-being, and consciousness, happiness, and meditation were conducted. These were meticulously planned and conducted by the departments, specialized centers, and undergraduate and postgraduate students, societies of the Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo, in collaboration with local and foreign expert resource persons. Today morning was dedicated to the Colombo Medical School Alumni Association, or COMSA, which is famously known. So as in the past, it held its COMSA Day, comprising 2 symposia and a plenary lecture. The deliberations covered important societal topics related to medicine, and it was very enlightening to listen to all the expert speakers. This was followed by the launch of the Lancet Countdown 2024 report on health and climate change, and the launch of the UCFM Center for Planetary Health, which happened shortly before this inauguration began. In a short while, one of the key events of the Congress will be held, which is the Faculty Oration 2024, titled Physiological Correlates of Gastroesophageal Reflux Disease, delivered by Dr. Nilanka A. Wickramasinghe, lecturer in the Department of Physiology of the Faculty of Medicine. The main deliberations of the Congress will begin tomorrow, 12th of December. The attendees will have the privilege to listen to plenary lectures delivered by two eminent speakers, Dr. P.G. Mahipala, retired Senior Medical Administrator, Ministry of Health and World Health Organization, and a trailblazing alumnus of the Colombo Medical Faculty, Dr. Padmini Ranasinghe, Assistant Professor of Medicine, John Hopkins School of Medicine, USA. Furthermore, there are 3 symposia on the topics of neurology, cardiorespiratory medicine, and urology, conducted by experts in these fields of medicine from Sri Lanka and the United Kingdom. Furthermore, presentation of scientific abstracts submitted for deliberation at the conference will be held as free oral and poster presentations in 4 sessions tomorrow, spanning the whole day. The much anticipated Medical Faculty Research Community organized session titled Breaking Boundaries, Student-Led Innovations in Untapped Healthcare Research, where students present their research ideas to a panel of expert scientists and eminent researchers in Sri Lanka, will be held as a lunchtime symposium tomorrow. The Department of Humanities will be conducting its annual humanities session this year on the theme Humane Doctor, with an art exhibition, a live painting session, and open sharing sessions held throughout the main Congress day. Several student-led stalls representing the core group for disaster relief, Rotaract Club of the Medical Faculty of Colombo, and the Medical Students Buddhist Association will be open during the day tomorrow to showcase their projects. The scientific deliberations of the main Congress day will conclude with the COMSA oration delivered by Professor Suranjit Senaviratne, a distinguished alumnus of our faculty and who is now a professor and consultant in clinical immunology, allergy, and immunogenetics at Royal Free Hospital, University College London, and Health Services Laboratories, London, United Kingdom. His oration is titled Principal Research Findings Made During 25 Years in Clinical Immunology. The Non-Academic Support Staff Day 2024, organized by the Academic Mentoring Program of the faculty, will be held on Friday, and it will bring to a close the deliberations of the Colombo Medical Congress 2024. As we look forward to the next 2 days, we invite you all to join us in these scientific sessions and wish you all fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
Year after year, the Colombo Medical School Alumni Association, or COMSA, has been a steadfast pillar of support for the Colombo Medical Congress, and this year is no exception. Their dedication and contributions have been instrumental in ensuring the success of this event. It is my privilege to invite President of COMSA, Dr. D.K.D. Matthew, to address the gathering.
Good evening, distinguished guests, respected faculty, alumni, students, and esteemed colleagues. Our orator today, Dr. Ilanka Wickramasinghe. I extend a warm welcome to you all attending the combined Colombo Medical Congress 2024, CMC 2024, hosted by the Colombo Medical School Alumni Association, COMSA, and the University of Colombo Faculty of Medicine, UCFM. The CMC is now a highly anticipated mainstream medical scientific event in Sri Lanka. Its reputation for high quality content, resource persons, and outcomes in terms of advanced medical care in Sri Lanka is making a positive impact on the lives of our fellow citizens in a myriad of ways going beyond medical sciences. Advancing health and wellness through impactful research, our theme this year proactively looks at moving the achievements of our researchers to ever higher levels. The pre-Congress, the main Congress symposia, plenary lectures, keynote address, oration, along with oral and poster presentations, I am sure will offer the widest possible spectrum of variety to the entire medical, paramedical, and scientific community. The CMC has since its inauguration always been a platform for interaction of multidisciplinary experts in an environment of scholarly camaraderie. This allows networking among a diverse group of clinicians, academics, scientists, non-academics, and entrepreneurs, which facilitates healthier environments in society to realistically get research into practice. No Congress will ever be a success without the fellowship it facilitates and generates among all its participants. The memories of such fellowships last much longer if the participants than the contents of the Congress itself. The organizers have taken great pains to ensure that at the conclusion of CMC 2024, you will have the most pleasant memories of all aspects of the Congress, so that you will be joining us at CMC 2025. I wish all of you a fruitful and memorable CMC 2024. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to invite our esteemed Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo, Professor H.D. Karunaratne, to deliver the Vice Chancellor's address.
Very good afternoon. Today's event chief guest, Senior Professor Kapila Senaviratne, Chairman of the UGC, University Grants Commission, His Excellencies, and Vidya Jyoti Senior Professor Vajira Disanayaka, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, President of the COMSA, all other senior academics, emeritus professors, distinguished invitees. It gives me great pleasure and honor to attend this COMSA, and the Faculty of Medicine organized this year the Colombo Medical Congress. It is one of the important calendar event in the faculty as well as university. As we all are aware, the University of Colombo has 19 entities with 10 faculties, 6 institutes, 1 school and 1 campus. Altogether this year, I think this is my 22nd international conference participating. We have one more to finish on 18th. So with that one, this year, the University of Colombo will complete 23 international conferences going with in line with the annual research symposium. So altogether, I think more than 380 abstracts, journal articles published. So the University of Colombo Academia is progressing and going into more impactful research. It is one of the important things we can see. Very recently, Elsevier journal analyzed the research of 5 main universities in Sri Lanka. According to that, the University of Colombo Academia, the last year has published 3,178 research in SCI journal articles. So that is the most impactful research, according to them, published in Sri Lankan university system. So it is with great pleasure and honor that we know more than 50% of our research, particularly from the University of Colombo, is conducting by this very faculty called Faculty of Medicine. So Faculty of Medicine is the, we know, oldest faculty in the University of Sri Lanka, Colombo, and of course the large number of academia. And it is very nice to see that year by year that their strength is going to the more impactful research. We know that all academic and all even which we call the natural sciences, social sciences, all academics we do research. But the important thing this year, every year in the University of Colombo, we in January appoint a team to organize annual research symposium and coordinate all these 20-odd research conferences. This year, of course, the conference chair was Professor Dilshani Dishanayake from the Faculty of Medicine, and the team appointed by all the faculties and institute, they decided to have the umbrella theme as the sustainability through impactful research. So going that umbrella theme, all other faculties, all the faculties and institutes, they organize this 23 international research conferences. So the important thing we can see, both aspects were sustainability as well as the impactful research. So today morning also they launched about the one important research on this climate change and the medical relationship to that. And of course, going into impactful research is very important, particularly more innovations, more product development, patent rights, and producing goods and services, making policies, and getting the patent rights. There are many, many ways we can expand. Of course, it is witness we can see day by day. I know that in University of Colombo, we have about more than 84 centers apart from our 77 departments. This, out of these 84 research centers, I think more than half is belong to Faculty of Medicine, particularly if I take that your Cancer Research Center is doing excellent job to the nation. So therefore I hope that this kind of event we can see year by year growing and expanding and contributing to the society. That is the most important thing. So at the last I would like to congratulate for those who have written papers, contributed in various ways, particularly the submitting papers and reviewing papers, conducting workshops. There were many, many activities in par with this annual research symposium series, and particularly medical congress. These 3 days, I think continuously they have introduced multiple activities. All are day by day new activities, particularly AI and linking AI and the medicine. Professor Vajra Dishanayake doing excellent job all the time, bringing them that we all are aware that due to this globalization and fast moving of the technologies, the developing countries are in serious issue, particularly because our investment is less and our technology is little bit outdated unless we get from the advanced countries. In this line, I think the conducting research conferences bring international linkages to our faculties and institute and the university. So each and every university I saw at least 2-3 international speakers. They have been doing presentations, excellent, invited reputed professors came, and networking with them in future is the one of the important things. We can minimize the gap between the advanced countries and developing countries, particularly when it comes to research and PhD, master's training. Because of this very fast moving in the technology in advanced countries, the developing countries are having serious issue. So to keep our professionalism, keep our all good work in par with the advanced countries, we need to link and make more and more collaborations, cooperations and networking with the foreign universities. I think this is one of the things we have to focus, because we know in terms of investment we are in a bankrupt economy, and the even government sector is weak, but particularly this Faculty of Medicine in last couple of years, Senior Professor Vajira Disanayaka has taken into with the professionals and foreigners, and of course all the relevant outside networking, collaboration and cooperation. That is the only hope actually we have. So I think we can do, because we see that remarkable progress in the Faculty of Medicine during last couple of years. So thank you very much for inviting me today. We at the center anytime happy to come and happy to help you, because you are doing excellent service to the nation. Thank you very much.
Dean, Professor Vajira Disanayaka, sir, may I kindly invite to hand over the token of appreciation to the Vice Chancellor. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to introduce our esteemed chief guest, Senior Professor Kapila Seneviratne. Currently serving as the chairman of the University Grants Commission of Sri Lanka, Professor Seneviratne is a senior professor in chemistry at the University of California. He earned his PhD in chemistry from Wayne State University in Detroit, USA, and further enriched his academic journey with postdoctoral studies at the University of British Columbia, Canada. With over 2 decades of experience in academia, Professor Seneviratne has held prestigious roles, including Dean at the Faculty of Graduate Studies and Dean of the Faculty of Science. He also established the Ethics Review Committee at the University of California, serving as its founding chairman. A globally recognized authority on the chemistry and nutrition of coconut oil, he was the first to report the presence of antioxidants in coconut oil, a groundbreaking discovery in the field. Please join me in warmly welcoming Professor Kapila Seneviratne to address the gathering.
His Excellency the High Commissioner to New Zealand, Vice Chancellor Professor H.D. Karunaratne, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, Professor Vajira Disanayaka, Keynote Speaker Dr. Athukorala, alumni members of the Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo, distinguished academics, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start talking, and Professor Vajira mentioned that our Prime Minister asked his help to develop these 4 medical faculties, the biggest challenge we have now on our shoulders. University of Colombo is the most prestigious Faculty of Medicine we have here, and also the oldest Faculty of Medicine. So we need your support for that. And at the same time, when we had a chat just a while ago, he mentioned that he is our next door neighbor, and actually my office is right there. In the afternoon I was thinking that why don't I walk here from there, but I know my efforts will be futile my driver will never let me do such a bold thing. So even though you are not coming always, we are more than prepared to work with you, work your prestigious faculty. First of all, I'm very delighted to be here at this ceremonial inauguration of the prestigious Colombo Medical Congress 2024, organized by the Faculty of Medicine and also by the alumni of the Faculty of Medicine. Your theme this time, Advancing Health and Wellness Through Impactful Research, caught my attention immediately because I quickly noticed the end users of your work, those who are going to be benefited by your research. So that means you are doing directly applicable research. That is very important. And especially the researchers in the medical field have lots of opportunities, lots of problems to be solved, applied research. And also we understand that we are a developing country. We don't have a lot of money to do research. So most of our funding will go to applied research. So we have to take the maximum advantage of it. I wish we had some little bit of money to do fundamental research as well, because today's fundamental research will be tomorrow's applied research. But we have to settle with applied research, so you are doing really well. And when I look at the researchers in the university system, I can see different researchers. Researchers who conduct research based on primary data, and also researchers who conduct research based on secondary data. So again, those who conduct research on primary data include researchers who collect data through surveys, questionnaires, interviews, etc. And those who collect data by doing laboratory experiments, field work, and clinical trials, etc. And we have researchers doing secondary, doing research based on secondary data, and they do various reviews, systematic reviews, etc. What I want to say is all of them are really very important to us because their contribution is very important in university ranking as well as serving our public. But I really wish if we had more money to conduct laboratory research, because it is relatively, lacking in not only in medical fields but also in all the other scientific fields, because it needs a lot of equipment, a lot of money, a lot of consumables, but our funding opportunities are very less. So what we usually do is we send our samples somewhere for analysis. There is no other option. So there is an advantage of that because we get nice results, we can publish papers, but there is a disadvantage as well because we are not properly, we cannot make full-blooded research people because they don't get the training of such analysis as well. So that is how I see as a chemist. So anyway, so there are advantages and disadvantages. And this resource limitation is a problem in our country, partly due to a reason that we do not collaborate sufficiently and internally. And we have some facilities, but it is difficult to make collaboration sometimes. So that is a problem we have. So, but again, understanding these things, what UGC is proposing this time for our budget is pumping more money for research. That is something we need. And the other thing we understand is that through a research grant, probably Vajra knows these things very well, we buy equipment, we buy a lot of things, but time passes by and then we don't have money to repair them. We don't have money to service them. We don't have money to buy spare parts. It's like you buy a car, you run for some time, and then you need an oil change. You don't have money, so you have to write another grant to buy another car. So this is what happens. So we want to pay attention. We want to get some money and have some funding for maintenance. That is something we want to do at UGC this time. And the other thing I notice is to improve our research. Universities, one other thing, one I notice is that our researchers are overloaded with teaching because our cadres are not filled. We have only 50% probably. So we take our lecturers take lots of time for teaching and they don't have sufficient time to conduct research. So that is also a problem. We highlighted it at all the forums possible, and hopefully we will get some recruitments very soon so that we can release our researchers to do some research as well. So those are few things I want to mention. But at the and not only UGC, but at the university levels, we can do a lot, and you are doing a lot to improve the research culture. One thing is that, okay, so our Vice Chancellor, I don't know what he thinks of what I'm saying. And I know that University of Colombo, University of Kelaniya, University of Sri Jawadanapura, University of Peradeniya, and those are I consider as rich universities. They have some earned funds, and I know how much they have. Anyway, the thing is, I think they can spend some money for research. They can spend some money for investments. You know, we should not see investments as Bursa's point of view. It's like putting money in the bank, you know, opening fixed deposits and getting the interest, buying treasury bills. That is good for a retail shop. I'm not saying it is bad. You have to do it as much as possible. But knowledge investment is also very important for a university. So I think the vice chancellors of rich universities will not be thrifty to make some more money for research, because it is an investment. It is an investment. No matter how much you collect money in the banks, that does not improve our ranking. So that is something I want to mention. We are trying our best at UGC to get more funding for research, but universities can also do a lot. Few other things I want to mention is that one important part of our education is our students. And we should try our best to get students to do research as well, and get students to do extracurricular activities as well. And what I'm saying is that, look at, we have a lot of senior academics here. Think of good old days, how you studied. Your professor came to the classroom and he did a chalk talk. Right on the board, not very complicated diagrams. You write it down, you know what it is. You don't have to have big sophisticated diagrams. You want to get the idea. So you have a simple diagram, you have a simple set of notes, and you studied well, and you are fine. But now, what we are doing is a little bit different, unfortunately. We have the new technologies for teaching. Zoom, PowerPoint, LMS, okay, fine, they are good. But if you have a PowerPoint presentation, you can save a lot of time that you spend for writing, right, on the board. So that time can be used to explain it further, but instead what we do is we pile up more and more notes there. So for 1 hour examination, we might have 500 slides, and we cut chapters of books on the slides. And that difference came only 20, 30 years ago, probably 10 years, and we can never imagine that human brain doubled or tripled its capacity within 20 years. And if we cannot memorize such notes, if you cannot do the lecture without looking at notes, why do you expect your students to memorize and go and answer those questions? That is unfair. The result is half of our student population get mentally depressed, and the rest of the students will be graduated, but where do they learn to do critical thinking? Where do they learn to conduct research? Where do they learn to be innovative, to be creative? And at least, when do they learn how to accept not only praises but also insults? When do they learn how to accept not only wins but also defeats? We have to give them a chance to do that. Only with those properties we make a complete graduate. So that is important. So finally, coming to your Congress, I'm very impressed, and I know that your work will go to the public. There will be a lot of people who are going to be benefited. So thank you for doing all the work. And one final thing before I finish. Multidisciplinary approach to research. And medical scientists should join hands with microbiologists, molecular biologists, biochemists, chemists, physicists, and also computer scientists. Then only we can make your publications, your findings more useful. Then only we can think of one day sending some papers to Nature for publications. And then only we can think of making a vaccine. Okay, maybe I'm too ambitious. Or at least making a good diagnostic kit. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Dean, Professor Vajid Sanayaka, so may I kindly invite you once again onto the stage to hand over the token of appreciation to Professor Kapila Seniviratna. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine to introduce and warmly welcome our esteemed keynote speaker, Dr. Ajanta Athukorala, Director, University of Colombo, School of Computing, and President, Computer Society of Sri Lanka, to deliver the keynote address.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker this evening, Dr. Ajantha Sanjeeva Thukorala, BSc Honours Computer Science of the University of Colombo, PhD Computer Science of the University of Queensland in Australia. Dr. Thukorala is the director of the Colombo University School of Computing and the current president of the Computer Society of Sri Lanka. He obtained his BSc Honours with first class in Computer Science from the University of Colombo in 1995 and his PhD from the University of Queensland in Australia in 2002 on neural pattern recognition. He has been a member of the Computer Society of Sri Lanka from the year 2006 and has served on the Computer Society of Sri Lanka's Executive Council since 2013. He was elected the President of the Computer Society of Sri Lanka in January 2024. He brings a wealth of experience and expertise to his role as President of the Computer Society of Sri Lanka. He represents the society at the Standing Committee on Computing and the Standing Committee on Technology of the University Grants Commission. He is the recipient of the Vice Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Research for the Colombo University School of Computing for the year 2003. Dr. Thukorala is a highly respected figure in Sri Lanka's IT community with a distinguished academic career and of course the contribution that he makes to the society. I have the pleasure in inviting Dr. Thukorala to deliver his keynote address. Dr. Thukorala.
Thank you, Professor Vajira. Chairman, University Grant Commission, His Excellency, the Ambassador of New Zealand, Vice Chancellor, sir, and all the academic staff members of Faculty of Medicine, and all the other invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. So I was given the topic to talk about artificial intelligence for medical sciences. So I have done my PhD also in the machine learning area, neural pattern recognition, so which coincides and which I have the knowledge to discuss that and also share some thoughts for the researchers at the University of Colombo, Faculty of Medicine, and always I think Professor Vajira invites and states that we should work jointly, and as the chairman UGC mentioned, I think we can do a lot together, and I think we have already started with few years, but not in a massive scale, but however I think we should build up and do some more work and try to bring, as what the UGC chairman was looking at and thinking, right, whether we can get some new innovations. So transformation of healthcare through AI. So as you know that AI is revolutionizing the healthcare or the medical sciences with improved diagnostics, and personalized treatments and so many other variable things that we can do together. However, it is very crucial and to think about this AI implementations, because there are some ethical considerations as well as data privacy safeguards has to be taken into when we are doing such activities. So by embracing these AI potentials while maintaining the patient-centric focus in your medical field, the healthcare providers like you all can harness the power of AI to deliver very high quality, more personalized care today. However, to use AI, first of all, we can't do in a traditional way. So the digital transformations first has to happen. So that's where, like, I think the Faculty of Medicine has taken a lot of efforts. I have been, I have a relationship as well. I think when I was a junior lecturer as well, I used to come here in the tech committees for a lot of IT work, but then I have worked with Professor Senaka and a few others in the IT committee and giving my support. So there I have seen that you have like long time back onwards, like you are trying your best to converge yourself, because this digital transformation, without digital transformation, we can't talk about AI or implementations of AI. So through digital transformations also you can get lots of benefits and you are taking them one by one. So these advantages collectively will revolutionize the healthcare landscape, making it more patient-centric, efficient and accessible system. So the first key here is digitalization. So with that we can talk about how AI can be used. But before coming, I thought maybe since in the medical field, I will just give ideas about, like, because how this AI is coming into the picture in computing or computer engineering, I would say. Because we have two entities here to always compare with. That is the human, that is, you know very well and you have studied very thoroughly, and the computers. You know that computers can do things as well. But of course their capabilities are different, whereas humans are very good at creativity, intuition, emotional intelligence, adaptability, you name it, quite a lot, right? But whereas the machines have shown from 80s to 90s and in the recent past, so they are quite good at speed, so they can do certain repetitive tasks very good, very well. But however, they have some issues, like with respect to what humans have. But they are now proving they are very consistent, they are very reliable, so that they are slowly showing some evidences of what humans can do. But however, as of now, I'm not taking you all another 30, 40 years down the lane, because we don't know what it's going to be. But however, at this moment I would say the optimal outcome will be just combining the both, because still I would say as of now these machines are human assisted, right? So that we have to use our brains, and we can then maneuver this device where we want to go. If not, if the device is going to maneuver us, we don't know where we will be going. So this is where the danger, there is a line, and we have to be very careful when we do research as well. So that's where, like, at this moment I would say that, okay, combining both, yes, we can go to the highest level, and then we can do some innovations and do some wonders. But of course, yes, this is science fiction, right? So you might have watched so many movies, right? So there are lots of stories, but yes, we will, that's what I said, don't go the 20, 30 years down the line and what I'm talking here, but then you might get upset about it as well. But however, so those are, I would say, science fiction, right? But of course, there is a possibility, right? So that from probability's point of view, right, so there is some probability we might go there. That's one other thing is, like, okay, to here to mention. I will come little bit to explain that. Now, if we take about 30, 40 years back, when calculators were, I think, invented, right? So people who were doing additions, subtractions by their brain or like just by writing in piece of paper, right? We had to change that shift to use a calculator. But you can't say that no, you should not use calculators. Even today now we give exams also you can use a calculator. We don't want you to look at logbooks and do the calculations, right? So similar situation is now we are facing with AI and some other technologies that are coming. So you can't say that no to them, right? They will be part and parcel of our lives, right? So we have to use them proper. So however, with the calculator example, yes, I think we might have seen that also, like I think maybe the fathers or grandfathers of us, right, when they were doing calculations, they are very fast. They can do by the brain very fast. But today, especially the younger generations, they might not be able to do it because they are not really using their brain towards that because they have the calculator, they have the computer with them. So everything is on their fingertips. So that's where, like, I think if we try to reduce this power of this and try to rely on a device, yes, that's where like we should be very careful where we will be going in. So with the calculator, we didn't have that challenge or the that problem that we might lose and go with the machine's direction. But with AI, we have to be very careful, right? Because that is coming and hitting in all other ways where whatever we do, right? That's why today I'm going to highlight more into the medical sciences. But yeah, so then if we thought that, okay, this device can do everything, I think that's probably where the human mankind might go to a different direction. So that's what, so keep your, we have to use our brains and then we have to do in a meaningful way as well. So with keeping that, just since you all are not from the computing audience, so I thought maybe I will do a small lecture as well, just only one slide. That is about like to tell what is this all about machine learning. So that as you all know, a computer is a device. When you give data, there is a program, then of course what you get is you get an output, right? So then even if you give two numbers to add them, so it will give, and but the bursar gives all the work related stuff, so she will get the payroll, and then of course like any work that we can do. So that's what the computer's power, right, what it can do. But then, so it's like a machine, right? So it has a function that when you give some input, it just gives the output related to that function. But what is machine learning then, right? So machine learning is also just the flip of this, right? We have outputs or the past data, I would say, right? That's where, like I said, we need digitalization because without data, just no way of talking about AI, right? So we need data, or huge or humongous level of data. So that's what I would say the output, that's data, right? Because that output is data, right? And then some data, here again you might say like data is duplicated. No, it's just like input data, right? So then when I give some input data, it might be able to give me a program. This is the same thing, right? So the machine is just tweaked a little bit. And what the program is, the program says, okay, he is having this disease or not, right? There's a probability he will be getting a disease or not. Right? So the program means that's the model that we talk about these days, AI, right? So that's the model. A trained model is, you got it through the past data and you give the current data and it is able to just give you a result based on that. Either you believe it or not, it all depends on the results that it produces. So it's just a device like maybe apples and orange, hope you can see that. Yes, so there is a marker between them. So that's the boundary between them. So then as long as you can understand that boundary, that program, right, that's it. Then he knows that what are apples, what are oranges. That's very simple, right? So this is in mathematics we can do very well. So that is what we can expect a machine can do, right? So then you, the biologist or the medical sciences, you were able to find the neuron of the human brain, and you have done a lot of studies and you have come up with the interpretation how a neuron will work. So then so there are inputs right, from the dendrites, and then you do the some process, and then through axons you get some output, you connect with another one, so it goes on. Okay, then that is for, like, when you say that to a computer scientist, we always look at from the mathematical point of view. So then we try to draw that, right? That's our model. That is our artificial neuron, right? Which you have the biological neuron. We just try to say whatever you say, we try to implement that with logic gates, electronics, whatever you name it, right? So that is what we have today, whatever we call a neuron. So what we are trying to do is then, we are trying to map a data set's its differentiability, right? And try to understand its function, how it behaves, right? So it's something like over top there. So there's a blue and the red dots are there. So as long as you can differentiate the difference between them, the green line, and if you can predict, or if you can get that function out, right, with that data, that is what we say you have learned it. Because you have to learn that boundary line. So then you know above that is one color, below that is another color. So this is just an example to take a two class problem, easy to understand. This can be any, right? So there is no limit on this, right? That's why, like today, when it comes to ChatGPT, it's much more extensive. But this is basically what we can do. So this is what a machine has a power. So this is power we have to make it better and better models, so that we can get its output in a much better way. So AI is nothing but, it's the science and the engineering of making an intelligent machine. What intelligent means, from the past data it can learn, and then it knows the functionality or that function, right? The behavior of that distribution. So then basically, if you know that, yes, you will be able to differentiate. So that's where, like, so the real function is something like this. Whatever your projected one is a straight line, so there might be small errors. So that's where, like you say, it's about 98% accuracy you had of this model, right? So 2% is wrong because it was not exactly mapped that, but you have done some sufficiently, and maybe in medical sciences that is good enough, because that is way better than a human. So then you say that's a model that we have trained. So that is what, so that's what machine's understanding. So remember, everything will be changed if the data is wrong, right? So that's where, like, so with models, whenever, especially when it comes to medicine, right, when you are using them, right, you have to be very careful, because the data that is used to train the model is wrong, right? So that whatever the results you get is also wrong, right? There's no doubt about that. So then you are trying to rely on that and try to build your models, right? So then that's where, like, the human mankind will fail, right? That's what we have to be very, very careful. So this was like in 1950s, Alan Turing was gave like sort of a, this is sort of a acid test that we had, where, like, the integrator like is communicating with a computer, whether he does not know whether there's a human in the other side or a computer, right? That's what, like, in Turing said in 1950s. So if the machine can act like a human, and whereas a real human does not know how to identify, or he will not be able to identify him, or there's the other way around as well. If the machine is able to fool you, the human, right? So that means we say machine has gone beyond human, right? So that is what he said. And today's term, that's what, like, most of you all say with ChatGPT. Yes, because a lot of things, when I ask him, he gives me the right answer. So that's, I think, that's like, okay, maybe even exam question, you can put it to the ChatGPT and you ask, okay, it will give you the answer, right? But however, don't believe that, it will give you everything right. But whatever you give, you gets it right. So that's why, like, today, this test, like, we were, as computer scientists, we were not able to get a program like that till very recent to show that computing is very powerful, right? But with ChatGPT, the models that came, right? Today, it has given you, I would say, within brackets, illusion. Okay, that's why I said, like, it is there, right? But it's not 100%. That's what I said, illusion. I use the word. Yeah, so then today we say that, okay, the Turing test is gone, right? That's what we say. Today, what we believe, that's like, they have modified the Turing test now as well. If you give a video to a computer program, and if it can write a report on that, right? It's a video only, right? No narration, nothing, right? Just a video, right? When I input the video, if it can give me half a page or A4 page description or transcript about that, right? That we say that, okay, now the machine has understood, because it can just look that, and it's very, very difficult, right? That's why like today we have made the bar higher, right? Where the machine still has to do a lot of work to get up to that stage, right? So that even that's what, like people talk about ChatGPT 5.0 after 4.0 as well, right? That they said that it's possible up to some level, right? So that's the marker that we have. This is not about ChatGPT 3.5 I'm talking about. ChatGPT 3.5 can't do that. So I think you might have also done these things where like machine is trying to check whether you are a human, right? That's where like we call a capture, right? So the machine asking you, okay, try this, right? I want to check whether you are a human. Then only I'm going to give you access, right? That's the opposite of the Turing test, right? That machines do to us as well. Okay, so that's all about AI. Just to give you a quick introduction on that, because all the people are talking about AI, machine learning. These are all the terms. Like AI is a bigger umbrella. Then deep learning, you call generative AI. Then large language models, right? Ultimately, finally, what you know is ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is one such model as well, right? So that's why I said there are so many ways that we can create this function mapping, right? So that ChatGPT, this transformer model that people have done very recently with the help of Google, right? Because Google came up with this model, but then OpenAI was really good at getting it into really practical side. So that's what we are using. But that's all. We can say AI, but that's not all AI. AI means everything, right? Whereas I think if you take, go back to the 1950s, I think, medical practitioners have used AI models we call expert systems those days, right? So you all, one of the field like the expert systems have been tested and tried, right? So it's like medical field with like this machine learning, I would say, right? Or the AI in this bigger context, right? You have used earlier, but today ChatGPT is using everyone with all the other fields. So coming back into AI generally we say there are three types of AIs. One is artificial narrow intelligence, which is what we call like all what we have done so far except the ChatGPT. That is because like you have, let's say you had Alexa or Siri, or you are talking to it, you have self-driving cars, all like just can do one item, like it has a very nice, I don't know, let's say you have a good entrance, I don't know, automatic gate, whether it can check male and female and ask you to go and for the another further checking, like you go to this direction or that direction, whatever, right? So all these models, what we say that artificial narrow intelligence. Artificial general intelligence is what we call like similar in power with human mankind. That's where like I think ChatGPT is trying to prove, right, through in various ways, okay, we are there, right? So that's what we, like in certain instance we say that you are still, there are level to develop, but that is what, so we are coming slowly to AGIs, that is artificial general intelligence. But artificial super intelligence means like basically we have lost the race, right, and the machines have won it, right? That's where like, so they will be controlling us. That's where like the fiction stories that we are talking about, that's where like even the fathers of the AI was predicting that will be another 50 years, 80 years, but now they are coming back and down, say like probably now it's a bit harder to say, it might be much sooner as well, right? So that we don't know, but however, so we are somewhere around artificial narrow intelligence and artificial general intelligence. And we don't have to be that scary about what AI can do, but of course in the future we might not know with the power that we provide to them. So just one slide about ChatGPT, as you know. So it is just one thing I want to tell, not to the whole data here. It's a language model, by the way, right? So it's AI, but this is what we call natural language processing. So it's we call large language model, LLMs, right? Large language models. It has been like, that's why like if you try to correct your English, like you write a letter and just you ask ChatGPT, can you correct this? So it will do it. It's good, right? That's because it's a good language model. But it is not good from medical practitioners' point of view, right, to get a recommendation, right, about a disease, right? Still it's not been trained proper, right? So that's why like, so that's why I said it's not general, right? So you feel that because quite a lot of work that you can do, so you feel that okay, it's a general, everything can be done, but it's not like in today's context, at human man's context, general. So that's where like, so this is a language model. So then yes, from language context it is good, But however, that's where like, so we have a lot of work to do, right, on the research side to get up to what you are looking at, right, for your field. So that's what, so ChatGPT is not always to be trusted, right? It's not trustworthy. ChatGPT was trained on massive data sets as well. So these are billions and billions of data points that we are talking about. So probably now if we try to develop one, it's not easy, right? That like not only a medical field, I will just take like in general, it's a Sri Lanka Sinhala, right? We don't have enough data, right? So someone can say like we don't have enough electronic, okay, we might have lots of books, right? All other bookstores, but only thing they are not in electronic form. So we can't train a LLM on that, right? So then that's where like we need electronic form first. That's what I said first, right? As I just took the example of Sinhala. So getting a single LLM is not that easy. Right, and we need lots and lots of data, and of course, yeah, that's a language that we use only, right? So then we can't get it from other countries and get it the whole data, right? So that's another disadvantage for us, and also it's pretty expensive to do that, right? So I think probably the government might not have enough money in the treasury to train LLM, because they might have money, but but not to spend in that way, right? To do research, because that's like significant, right? Because we call GPUs, and the GPU 1 hour it's about, let's say, $10, right? So that huge time is required for training. That's in AI systems, training takes huge resource, right? It needs lots of power. Probably another power station has to be built to power up that data center, right? And then we need like time to train. Like it might take about 3 months or 4 months. That's what like ChatGPT or whatever, right? Versions don't expect like every week to come in, right? You might not be able to train those models. It takes time. But once it trains proper, yes, you can use it straight away. So it's like application is faster. So yes, to do LLM is not easy. So that's why like in medical sciences, we have 150 years of history. Like if we have all data like in electronic form, so then we might be a good resource to start with. That is what we had to look into, right? So that's why like maybe patient data, like all the other things like maybe some disease, right? So then on that particular category, like rather than not all diseases, right? So that we have to look into. But that a small chunk is not enough to train, right? Because you can't expect that nice curve will come for the data. That's where the humongous data is required. So that is what. So there are challenges, right, for us to get into. Like always we say AI can do this and that, but what AI can do, that is what I'm trying to tell you, right, rather than I'm trying to do research with you initially at this moment, right? But yes, but we have potential, like we can do certain things, and that's where like we have to get prepared ourselves. And also like as you know, as and when you use ChatGPT, of course your data is also being used to do for the training, right? That's why like it says itself in the privacy policy that these data and probably this data, there are some issues will be coming in the future to come as well, because like then we can't go and steal data from Singapore or India or Japan and then try to train for our models, right? Because this data is very, very important. That's what we call data is oil as well. So then when we do training, it's with like, that's what like how ChatGPT has trained. There are some questions, some GDPR, especially like in the European side that they are looking at. Because probably some of our data, like maybe you don't want to share, but then they might have used it, right? But we don't have such access. That's where like you might have to think why Google is giving us everything free of charge, right? So you have all your emails, right? So probably that's where like we call profiling. So if I have the data of yours like last 20 years, let's say Professor Vajra's data on Gmail, and I might be able to profile him and say that what sort of diseases he is having, right? And what sort of person he is, right? Because based on the interactions he had with his friends, his colleagues, whatever, right? It's enough, the data, right? But then to give much better and better, I need more data, right? So then he says like, okay, from his school days, he was using the computer and using Gmail, right? So then, okay, Google will have, because I don't have, or Sri Lankan president might not be able to get that data of Professor Vajra's, but they might be having. So that's what, no free lunch, right? So there is something, data is very important. So that's why like when you all are also working, right, with your patient's data, right, and systems, right, you have to be very careful with the data. And also like AIs can be biased. Right? So that's the bias. This is a big issue as well. Right? Any statistical model, I think you all know the bias. variance dilemma, right? And also like similarly when you train with data, right? Of course, let's say like just example only, quick example, because I didn't take time. So there is an autonomous car that is, I think, let's say it's coming to Sri Lanka next month, right? That's been trained on US data, right? So probably if you try to apply here that to car, so probably they might not recognize some of the people, right? Some of the ethnicities or like some of the behaviors that we have, right? Because that's a different data, right? For that, right? As well as, so it's all matters with the data. So it's not really, the model is important, model has to be trained, then only we can use it, right? So then whatever the systems that are working for some other organization, some other country might not applicable. And also the biasness is also there with that. So there are issues. And this is like a famous example. This is not from medical field, but legal. So one of the New York lawyer has used ChatGPT and fabricated decisions, like sort of like he has done a court case and he has won it because he has given cases, but all the citations are all manipulated ones by ChatGPT, not by him. Right? He thought he's getting correct. This was done here, that is done there, but that's all are wrong data. So that's why like even today, so next version, let's say ChatGPT is 5.5 or whatever, right, which is going to come next year. And if that is being trained on wrong data, we might not be able to use as what we are using. So you might say, give me 3.5 version, right? I don't want 5.1 because that was trained on a manipulated wrong data. So this is one. That's like, so medical practitioners, you have to be very, very careful on that. So this is a known case. After the case was, I think, won by him, like later on when you look at it, all the citations were wrong. That when you look at it, the ChatGPT has generated them, right? It's a language model. It can give nice language. The language is correct. It has done the rules well. But the content is what, right, is different. That's what language model is good at, the language, but you have to have that higher level knowledge to understand the content is correct. Because it does not verify the content is correct. That's why like, so when we study, when we are using, that's good. That is, you know what you're doing. But a new person comes to the field and try to use it without knowing, he thinks wonders, but then probably, that's what like, probably let's say first year, right, medical student, try to do some methods like in, I don't know, let's say surgical things, like probably he might have used ChatGPT and try to do, but still completely bogus, right? If you try to do that, the man will not live another 1 hour, right? So that's the case. But when you read that, it was very nice, nicely read, right? It looks like a journal paper, like maybe Q1, a journal paper, right? But it is, the content is the problem. Okay, quickly, about 2-3 slides, what we can do from medical sciences, because that's where the audience is looking at. So you all, we can together, we can work, look at some new designs of drugs, what the chairman said, and then potential side effects of interactions when you use drugs, and then identify new use cases or new users, and then try to, because we can reproduce or we can create artificial users and try to apply and see whether in this situation how it works, that's how our drug is going to work, or like how this methodology is going to work. And personalization, like medicine, that is we can analyze genetic, environmental, and lifestyle data, right, as well as like the AI models can predict how patients might respond, right? Because that's why, like, if we can model that human proper, and then we can apply that rather than to real human, and we can try that. And medical imaging and diagnostic, we can do a lot, like, because create synthetic but realistic medical images, and then we can start working on them, because that maybe real data is very difficult to get, but then if we can generate that, and we can see whether early detection can be done. So improved accuracy, especially the early and accurate detection can be done. And clinical trials optimizations, where like AI can simulate patient data, and AI identifies suitable candidates based on the genetic and demographic data, and then we can generate that, and we can see how it's going to apply, as long as the model is fit and correct, right? And also the data analysis, AI accelerates the analysis of trial results and uncovering patterns and insights. That's where like we can do. Disease modeling and prediction. We can do a lot. Again, generative models simulate disease spreads and aiding in preparation and intervention planning. And AI predicts the trajectory, and then we can, if it can predict the trajectory, how it's going on, so we can get precautions. So these all models can be like how we can use them in a proper, once we train with our data. That's the challenge we have. The rare disease research, where we can get generative AI, creates examples of rare diseases, which we can't do that, but then now we can develop it, and then we can try them. And AI analyzes rare disease symptoms for faster, more accurate and identification. So generative AI empower medical science research by automating complex processes, simulating scenarios, and uncovering novel insights, paving the way for a faster and more effective solutions of healthcare challenges, given that what we use in that model. Thank you.
We have just been enlightened by an inspiring keynote address by Dr. Ajanta Athukorala. To express our gratitude, Dean, sir, may I now invite to hand over the token of appreciation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, Vidyajyoti Professor Vajra Disanayake, to introduce our esteemed orator, Dr. Nilanka Wickramasinghe.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the faculty orator this evening, Dr. Nilanka Anjali Wickramasinghe. I must confess at the outset that this is the ChatGPT enhanced citation of Nilanka. My colleagues know how that came about. Dr. Nilanka Anjali Wickramasinghe graduated with second upper class honors from the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Colombo in 2014. She obtained her MSc in Human Nutrition, topping her batch and earning multiple gold medals, including the Best Student Award in 2019 when she graduated with the MSc. She also won the Sri Lanka Medical Nutrition Association's gold medal at the graduation ceremony. She completed her PhD in gastrointestinal physiology at the University of Kelaniya, and she currently provides clinical GI physiology services to patients referred to her from the National Hospital of Sri Lanka in Colombo, as well as the other referral centers in the country. Dr. Wickramasinghe has authored over 12 index publications and holds an international patent for a detectable sole for corn and callus affected feet. Her contributions have been recognized with the President's Award for Scientific Publication in the year 2014 and 2015, and the Merit Award for Scientific Publication in the year 2016. She has also won several prestigious awards, including the United European Gastroenterology International Scholarship and the Professor K.N. Seneviratne Memorial Research Award. She is an accomplished educator. She has earned a postgraduate certificate in medical education with CEDA accreditation and multiple teaching excellence awards. She has also been a writer of books. Her works include Simplified Physiology of ECG for Medical Students and a 16-book series on health and safety for children. She has co-created a health-focused TV series in the national television, Rupavahini, which is very popular and has been running now for several months. Dr. Wickramasinghe is also a talented musician with a LTCL diploma in vocals and an ATCL diploma in piano from Trinity College, London. She is married to Professor Dakshita Wickramasinghe, professor in surgery in our faculty, and has 2 children. So let me invite Nilanka to come over and receive the Orator's Medal and deliver her oration to this evening.
Thank you, sir, for that kind introduction. Good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me much pride to deliver the faculty oration today. The Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo, my alma mater, is my second home. These buildings, for me, are not made from mere bricks and mortar, but are also brimming alive with many memories, and with many memories in the making. And it is with much gratitude that I would like to introduce you to the topic of my oration, Psychological Correlates of Gastroesophageal Reflux Disease, or GERD. This is based on the work conducted over the past 4 years for my PhD thesis, which I submitted just last week. I will approach the topic along the following outline, where I will first give an introduction to gastroesophageal reflux disease, or GERD for short. It is a condition where the contents of the stomach reflux back to the esophagus, causing symptoms such as heartburn and regurgitation, and in the long term, esophagitis and even esophageal cancers. Heartburn has been described even in historical contexts, and it was the physician Galen who in 200 AD experimented on Roman gladiators and coined the term heartburn based upon the observation that diseases of the esophagus often mimicked diseases of the heart. Symptoms of GERD are also described in Ayurveda as Urdhvaga Amlapitta, where Agni, or the biological fire of the body, is impaired. Throughout the ages, many herbal remedies have been concocted, as seen in this manuscript dated to the 1500s. And later on, alkaline medications were in vogue, such as the white oxide of bismuth, seen evidenced in this image of a doctoral thesis published in the year 1800. However, it was only in the early 1900s that gastric acid was identified as the cause of esophagitis by Chevalier Jackson, who is considered the father of endoscopy. And it was during the same era that the surgeon Norman Barrett observed the histological changes in the esophagus in GERD, now termed as Barrett's esophagus. The 1950s saw Rudolf Nissen developing the Nissen Fund application for the surgical management of GERD. Despite all of this, the formal measurement of acid in the esophagus was only first described in the 1960s, with scientists Johnson and Demeester in 1974 utilizing for the first time 24-hour pH monitoring for diagnosis of GERD. Surprisingly, the drug omeprazole was only patented in 1978 and was approved for medical use in the year 1988. Coincidentally, my birth year 36 years ago. I would like to give a summary of the worldwide literature on GERD using original diagrams created for two reviews by us on GERD published in the World Journal of Gastroenterology and the World Journal of Gastrointestinal Pharmacology and Therapeutics. Factors causing GERD can be categorized as supraesophageal factors such as impaired reflux-induced swallowing, esophageal body factors such as ineffective esophageal motility, esophageal junction-related factors such as hiatal hernia, and gastric-related factors such as delayed gastric emptying. Other than the typical symptoms of heartburn and regurgitation, many symptoms and conditions are associated with GERD such as chest pain, bloating, and even asthma. Now, as listed in this crowded table, many diseases such as functional heartburn, gastritis, etc. mimic the symptoms of GERD, causing much confusion. A systematic review by Nirvan et al. In 2020 reports that the global prevalence of GERD symptoms as defined by heartburn and or regurgitation at least once a week is nearly 14%, with the Western countries reporting a higher prevalence. But there was no data on Sri Lanka to be included in this systematic review. We rectified this deficiency by conducting a cross-sectional study on 1,200 adult Sri Lankans recruited from all 25 districts of the country using stratified random sampling, and our results were published in the PLOS Global Public Health Journal. The island-wide prevalence of GERD symptoms, defined as heartburn and or regurgitation at least once a week, was reported as 25.3, that is 1/4 of the population. Alarmingly, of the population, nearly 40% were on GERD medications such as antacids, and 1/5 were on proton pump inhibitors. We noted that increased mental stress, inadequate sleep, sleeping within 2 hours of a meal, skipping breakfast, and snacking at midnight were significant factors associated with GERD symptoms in Sri Lanka. When reviewing worldwide literature, factors associated with GERD symptoms are many and can be categorized as diet, diet-related habits, obesity, mental stress, and many more. There are multiple methods of diagnosing GERD, starting with clinical history taking, which of course is notoriously unreliable. Endoscopy can diagnose GERD patients who have developed the complication of erosive reflux disease due to acid reflux, but this is only seen in around 30% of GERD patients. But what about the GERD patients who have no evidence of erosive esophagitis on endoscopy? Thus, the recommended gold standard diagnosis in international guidelines is to do combined 24-hour pH impedance testing, which can objectively diagnose GERD. I would now like to take some time and explain how to do a combined 24-hour pH impedance testing, as it is important in the context of the topic of my oration. Here, there are 2 elements being tested in the esophagus using specialized nasogastric catheters with sensors. One sensor is the pH sensor and the other one is impedance. Impedance is similar to electrical resistance, and I will explain it further later on. The pH impedance data is fed to a device worn outside the body, to which the patient also has to input his or her symptoms, meal times, etc. as and when they happen. As seen in the graph on top, when monitoring the esophageal pH over a period of 24 hours, if the pH is to fall less than 4 for more than 4% duration of 24 hours of testing, the patient can be considered as having GERD. Given below is a graph of a healthy control, and you can observe that refluxes can occur in minute amounts even in those who are healthy. Meanwhile, impedance, similar to electrical resistance, will reduce when liquid is moving through the impedance sensors, whereas movement of gas, say like a burp, will increase the impedance value. There are multiple impedance sensors along the length of the catheter through the entirety of the esophagus. Thus, different types of movements can be identified using impedance patterns generated. Of this, liquid reflux is important for the diagnosis of GERD. The patient also has to input symptoms into the timeline through the wearable device. If a patient's symptoms occurs within a 2 minutes window of a liquid reflux, it is said to be a positive symptom association. Thus, using the pH impedance data, we can diagnose patients with increased reflux as having GERD. If there is a normal physiology reflux with a positive symptom association, they are diagnosed as reflux hypersensitivity. If there is no symptom association and no reflux, and if there is no alternate diagnosis, then we can classify them as functional heartburn patients. Reflux, hypersensitivity, and functional heartburn are disease conditions which are different from GERD with a more psychological basis, and the management too is different from that of GERD. Management of GERD is done in the categories of lifestyle modifications such as elevating the head end of the bed and avoiding trigger food, using medications such as proton pump inhibitors, and even endoscopic procedures and surgical procedures such as fundoplication. In this image, I have amalgamated the current worldwide management guideline practices from American, British, European, and Asia Pacific guidelines. It starts with first confirming GERD. It then goes on to lifestyle modifications, and then proton pump inhibitors as a first line medical management. If the response is poor, the medical management is escalated and can go on to involve various endoscopic and surgical options. Now, let's look at the psychological aspect of our topic. I have put these two divergent but similar photographs purposefully to showcase the devastating results of current absurd human politics and warfare, but also from a scientific point of view to explain that we cannot still explain the physiology completely of how human emotional crying occurs, though we know that lacrimation is a physiological reflex. Likewise, heartburn is also something that can be triggered emotionally. I did a search on lyrics.com for songs with the word heartburn in it and found 375 matches. I would like to not sing, but read out some of the lyrics of them, which actually almost portray a clinical history of a patient with GERD. You're feeling hopeless, gotta mask those feelings, pour up till my heart burns, lately feeling heartbroke, take that lump in your throat, let's stop now. Another song reads, my actions, my insides are tied because I've got heartburn. Stomach acids trashing around my insides, make me wanna die. And another one says, maybe the reflux, maybe the heartburn. Heartburn is generally associated with sadness and heartbreak as seen by these novels with the title Heartburn. It is even mentioned by Shakespeare in his play The Tragedy of King Richard III, where he talks of a quote, a long continued grudge and heartburning between the queen's kindred and the king's blood. And locally in the Sri Lankan setup, we sometimes hear the phrase, Eka ahuwama mata mage bada papuwa hose gala gaya, in Sinhalese, and it is related with the bad news. Thus, symptoms of GERD can be associated with many psychological factors and disorders. Now, let's look at some research-based evidence of it. Stressful events are associated with GERD symptoms include divorce, the death of a spouse, and miscarriage, etc. It is reported that GERD patients perceived increased symptoms during stressful times. Many studies have found that GERD symptoms were significantly associated with high perceived stress. And symptoms of GERD are also noted to be higher in patients with phobias, OCDs, and interpersonal sensitivities. An elegant study by Wright et al. Reported that heartburn patients, when subjected to an experimental stress factor, complained of symptoms of GERD despite no objective acid reflux. It is also reported that patients who had symptomatic erosive GERD had higher levels of anxiety as opposed to patients with asymptomatic erosive GERD, postulating that stress can increase sensitivity and lower the threshold of pain. One must also note the other side, where GERD symptoms such as heartburn and regurgitation can affect the quality of life of patients and thereby increase their mental stress in that way too. What about Sri Lanka? Using the data from my all-island research on GERD symptom prevalence and associated factors, we studied the association between GERD symptoms and mental stress. Our findings were published in the PLOS One journal. We tested 1,200 participants from all over the island with an interviewer-administered questionnaire that incorporated the perceived level of stress, or PSS score, which is one of the most widely accepted measuring tools for stress. The score includes 10 questions related to feelings, and the answers are chosen through a Likert scale, and the scoring system is used to categorize users as having mild to no stress, moderate stress, and high stress. A staggering 40% of our 1,200 participants from the all-island study were categorized as having moderate to high stress levels, which is quite alarming. We also categorized those who had heartburn and/or reflux at least once a week as probable GERD, and those who did not fit the definition as controls. The stress score was significantly higher in those with probable GERD, and a significant proportion of those with probable GERD had moderate to severe stress when compared to controls. Furthermore, those with probable GERD experienced an exacerbation of heartburn symptoms more during stressful times, more commonly than controls. However, those with higher levels of stress were more likely to use a proton pump inhibitor than those with lower levels of stress. However, the same high stress group was more likely to not have any symptom relief for the medication used for heartburn. I also conducted a case control study to identify associated factors related to objectively diagnosed GERD, because earlier it was probable GERD. This was presented as an abstract at the International Union of the Physiological Sciences and is under review in the BMJ Gastroenterology. Cases were patients diagnosed as having definite GERD from the National Hospital of Sri Lanka, and the age and sex match controls were those with no GERD symptoms at all recruited during the all-island study. Mental stress was one of the main factors significantly associated with GERD, and others were low family income, inadequate sleep, inadequate recommended physical activity levels, and asthma. A surprising finding was that GERD patients were thinner than controls and that their daily caloric intake was less, meaning that these patients are restricting their diet probably due to many issues such as oil, spices, etc., which they might be advised to avoid. And this, when we question our patients, we found was to be a very, very stressful event, which really affects their life. Another component of my PhD research was conducted at the gastrohepatology unit at the National Hospital of Sri Lanka. I conducted pH impedance testing on 46 GERD patients, suspected GERD patients. However, only 28% of them were diagnosed with GERD, as seen in this red area. A significant 18%, as seen in this yellow area, were diagnosed as having reflux hypersensitivity. A further 13% were diagnosed with functional heartburn, as seen in this blue area. As I stated previously, functional heartburn and reflux hypersensitivity are disease entities with a major psychological component. The management of these diseases is different from GERD, and if not identified, these patients will have poor response to proton pump inhibitors. With that in mind, I think it is time to see some pathophysiology. But for this, I would like to start at the beginning with some first-year medical physiology related to the gut-brain axis And the main neural pathways in the gut-brain axis are the parasympathetic via the vagus nerve and the sympathetics via the thoracic spinal segments. They communicate with the enteric nervous system, which is composed of the myotic plexus and the submucosal plexus. Let's take a look closer at the submucosal nervous plexus. This is situated beneath the epithelial cell layer, and acid and other substances can traverse this epithelial cell lining and approach the nerve endings in the enteric nervous system. These nerve endings have many different types of receptors for acid and other substances, and many new types of receptors are being continuously identified through research. Through activation of these receptors, refluxed acid can bring about the perception of heartburn if the quantity is above the normal physiological level of reflux. However, stress and other psychological factors can affect and distort this gut-brain axis in several ways. Let's look at some research findings. Farey et al. Used lab mice and showed that acute stress can increase by itself esophageal mucosal permeability. The black dots indicate mice whose esophageal permeability was significantly increased than a control group of mice by stressing them through caging and immobilization. They went a step further and used the histology of the mice esophagus and identified dilated intercellular spaces in the esophagus as seen in figure B. This can contribute further to esophageal permeability to acid. Hartman et al. Investigated the association between mental stress and gastric acid secretion using healthy volunteers. The graph here shows the influence of acute mental stress induced by performing mental arithmetic, stimulating gastric acid output as opposed to non-stressed controls. Stress is also shown to have an impact in esophageal contractions. Young et al. Recorded esophageal manometry in participants exposed to stresses in the form of noise disturbances and problem-solving tasks, and reported increased stress-induced esophageal contraction amplitude changes which could potentially give rise to GERD symptoms. A study by Professor Niranga Devanarayana, my PhD supervisor, showed that exposure to stressful events can also give rise to reduced gastric emptying, which in turn can be a pathological cause of GERD. Psychological factors also affect the gut microbiome in patients with GERD. In this study done in 2022, it showed that the gut microbial diversity was different between patients with GERD with somatoform disorders or psychological disorders as opposed to those with no psychological disorders. This change in the gut microbiota could also lead to alterations of the gut-brain axis. Recent studies have demonstrated that psychological stresses can increase the expression of pain receptors on nerve endings, increased stress-induced activation of mast cells, and stimulate cytokine release from T cells in the esophagus, leading to more pain being felt. Reflux hypersensitivity is a functional esophageal disorder with symptoms similar to GERD. Here, there is hypersensitivity to normal physiological reflux due to either peripheral sensitization at nerve endings, central sensitization at the spinal cord levels, or altered central processing of esophageal stimuli, altered autonomic activity, or psychological comorbidities. Functional heartburn 2 is a psychological condition which can emulate the symptoms of heartburn without the underlying pathophysiology of GERD through either psychiatric, stress, or sleep issues. A recent study also identified the shared genetic etiology between gastrointestinal diseases and psychiatric disorders. Here, GERD is shown to be associated genetically with anorexia nervosa, bipolar disorders, ADHD, schizophrenia, PTSD, and even major depressive disorder. Now let's talk about management in relation to psychological factors and GERD. I'm displaying again a slide I showed previously to underline the importance of proper diagnosis based on a 24-hour pH impedance testing of whether a patient has true GERD or if it is functional in nature. Only then can we give the management the patient wants. Unfortunately, a proper diagnosis is not given to many patients with symptoms of GERD, even at the National Hospital of Sri Lanka, due to lack of facilities. There is only one working pH impedance system at the NHSL at the moment, and probably around 5 for the whole of Sri Lanka in both the private and public sector. As another part of my PhD research project, I recruited 209 patients with symptoms of GERD at the National Hospital of Sri Lanka for a follow-up study. And when considering the investigations performed on them, 95% of them underwent upper GI endoscopy, but only 20% of them underwent pH impedance testing. This lack of pH impedance testing for patients who were negative for endoscopy meant that almost 57%, that is this green area, of our patient cohort at NHSL were unclassified and did not have a final diagnosis made related to their symptoms of GERD. A clinical history taking is quite important to identify psychological factors affecting the patient and to assess the patient's stress levels. Excessive preoccupation with symptoms, multiple unrelatable, unexplained symptoms, episodic appearances of symptoms during stressful times can give clues towards a functional nature. These are images taken of me performing GI physiology investigations at the gastrohepatology unit at NHSL. From personal experience, if the patient is excessively anxious during this painless procedure, we sometimes guess that the diagnosis is of a functional disorder, though there have of course been exceptions. If a diagnosis of functional heartburn is made, the patient can be treated with tricyclic antidepressants or SSRIs, which have been shown to be efficacious in functional disorders. If needed, the patient can be referred to mental health professionals. Neuromodulation therapies present new avenues for the treatment of functional disorders. Examples include transcutaneous electrical acute stimulation, implantable lower esophageal sphincter electrical stimulation, and electroacupuncture. However, their effectiveness is controversial, and these are not offered in Sri Lanka. Let's look at again the data collected from our hospital cohort of 209 patients with symptoms of GERD. While almost 90% of our patients were prescribed proton pump inhibitors, only 5 of the 209 patients were on anxiolytics, and that too prescribed at a previous psychiatric clinic. We also followed up our hospital cohort and questioned their satisfaction related to medication used at recruitment, 6 months' time, and at 12 months' time. A considerable number of patients were not satisfied with the medication used, as seen in this red color section, with many dropping out, as seen in this blue color section. They were dropping out of using medication and did not come for hospital visits due to their dissatisfaction. We also did a knowledge, attitude, and practices study of GERD management on 100 Sri Lankan doctors at National Hospital of Sri Lanka, and I presented this as an abstract at the United European Gastroenterology Conference in Vienna this year. We noted that many doctors did not know the importance of pH impedance studies, meaning there is a lapse in diagnosing functional disorders. 70% of the doctors did say that stress reduction is important in the management of GERD symptoms. However, we did not see this happening in actual practice during our hospital-based research. So now let's come to the conclusions and future perspectives. Prevalence of GERD symptoms is higher in Sri Lanka than the estimated global prevalence. Identifying true GERD via pH impedance testing is the cornerstone for effective management. Improving investigation facilities is a must. Evaluating and managing mental stress should be an essential part of patient management. Identified GERD patients need a definite plan that includes proper medication, surgery, and review. Those identified as reflux hypersensitivity or functional heartburn should be managed according to recommendations. And most importantly, patient education and good communication is a must. This, I believe, is as important as treatment itself. I have come to the end of my presentation, but I need to show my acknowledgements to all those who helped me in my PhD research journey. My sincere thanks go out to my 3 supervisors, Professor Niranga Devanarayana, Professor Nandadeva Samarasekara and Dr. Itsuro Yasaki, whose invaluable guidance, unwavering support, and insightful expertise were instrumental in shaping and completing this work. Professor Nirangadeva Narayana, my primary supervisor, trained me in GI physiology investigations, and I have spent countless Sundays at her home, complete with meals, where she went through each word of my proposal, articles, and theses with me. Madam, I am blessed to have you as my primary supervisor and as a mentor. A further note of gratitude to Dr. Itsuro Yasaki, who took me under his wing at the Royal London Hospital in UK and trained me in GI physiology. The staff and consultants at the gastrohepatology unit at National Hospital of Sri Lanka have been extremely supportive during the past years, and it is a pleasure working there even now. I traveled to all 25 districts of the country. And this was with my two wonderful research assistants, Dr. Adhavan and Dr. Achini, who did an unimaginable, copious amount of data collection of 1,200 participants island-wide and 209 patients from the hospital cohort. Our journey and adventures around Sri Lanka in my little car is a memorable and joyful period in my life. I was also constantly supported by my workplace, or should I say my second home, the Department of Physiology, Colombo Medical Faculty. A special thank you to Professor Lakmali Amarasiri for letting me use her GERD screening tool, which formed the basis of my research. Professor Ranil Javardhana, the only male in this picture, for his food frequency questionnaire, which I also used. Professor Dilshani Disanekar for being a very supportive head of department during my PhD. Being the most junior academic staff in the Colombo Physiology Department means that there is plenty of mothering for me, and I feel much loved. I was asked recently at a different forum whether I'm satisfied with my current job. My answer was and is a resounding yes. The Physiology Department is my happy place, and I consider myself very lucky to be here. My support system extends beyond the department as well, especially to Professor Vajra Disanayaka, our dean, who never forgets to ask me, how is your PhD going? And is always supportive. At Colombo Medical Faculty, I have formed many meaningful connections and deep bonds with so many teachers, mentors, friends, staff, and students. Like this rainbow above the faculty symbolizes, coming to work each day to faculty is not work for me, but a joy. I'm whom I am today due to my wonderful parents, Ammi and Tatti. Your love and guidance is always my strength. And I don't say this often, but I should, and I love you both very much. Thank you, Dakshita, for always being supportive of me to achieve my professional goals in life and holding the fort with our two little ones, Nidan and Anjali. Dakshita is a bit shy, so I won't say much. But I do have to thank him for giving me my mother-in-law and father-in-law. They looked after my kids and home while I was away for research and training for months, and are always giving me constant motivation. I will end my oration with a video of the first sunrise experience I had taken in the East Coast during my data collection. Traveling around Sri Lanka and collecting data is when I started to truly appreciate how wonderful, welcoming, and generous our people are. The people of Sri Lanka are those who funded my medical education and even my PhD through the UGC and University of Colombo grants I got. It took me maturity to realize that we are indeed very lucky to call this beautiful island with its beautiful and warm inhabitants our home. I'm proud to be a Sri Lankan, and I look forward to the day our country's future is bright as this sun here. Thank you very much for your patient listening.
Congratulations, Nilanka, on that very fascinating oration. Ladies and gentlemen, as we near the conclusion of this memorable event, it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Asha Vaidasinghe, Co-Secretary CMC 2024, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening, distinguished guests, esteemed faculty members, respected delegates, colleagues, and dear students. It is my privilege and honor to propose the vote of thanks for this memorable inauguration ceremony of Colombo Medical Congress 2024. First and foremost, my heartfelt gratitude goes to our chief guest, Professor Kapila Senaviratne, Chairman of the University Grants Commission, for your valuable presence and inspiring address. Your words have highlighted the critical role of academia in shaping the future of health sciences and research. I would like to express our deepest gratitude to Professor H.D. Karunaratne, Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo, for his unwavering support and visionary leadership. Your guidance has been instrumental in ensuring the success of this Congress, and your commitment to fostering academic excellence continues to inspire us. On behalf of the Organizing Committee of the Colombo Medical Congress 2024, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to His Excellency David Pine, the High Commissioner of New Zealand, and Her Excellency Lisa Van Stol, Acting British Deputy High Commissioner, for gracing this occasion with their esteemed presence. We sincerely value your effort taken to join us at this significant event despite your busy schedule. To Professor Vajra Disanayake, co-chair of the Colombo Medical Congress 2024 and the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo, whose guidance and leadership have been pivotal in organizing this Congress. Your words today have motivated us to aim higher and explore new horizons. Our gratitude extends to Dr. T.K.D. Matthew, co-chair of the Colombo Medical Congress 2024 and President of COMSA, for your inspiring address and your guidance and leadership in organizing the COMSA Day for Colombo Medical Congress 2024. I extend my sincere thanks to our keynote speaker, Dr. Ajante Satukorala, Director, University of Colombo School of Computing, and President, Computer Society of Sri Lanka, for your thought-provoking lecture on AI for medical sciences. Your insights have shed light on the transformative potential of artificial intelligence in healthcare, a field that resonates deeply with our commitment to innovation. A special note of appreciation goes to Dr. Nilanka Wickramasinghe, Lecturer, Department of Physiology, Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo, for delivering the faculty oration on psychological correlates of gastroesophageal reflux disease. Your work reflects the depth and excellence of research within our faculty. To Professor Hemali Gunasekara and Professor Anuja Bedira, co-chairs of the Scientific Committee, whose guidance and leadership have been pivotal in organizing this Congress, setting the stage for the rich academic discussions ahead. A special note of thanks to our organizing committee and volunteers whose tireless efforts and meticulous planning have made this event possible. Your dedication, teamwork, and attention to detail are commendable. And this Congress is a reflection of your hard work. I am also deeply grateful to our sponsors and collaborators whose generous support has been instrumental in bringing this event to life. Your belief in the vision of this Congress encourages us to continue fostering research and innovation. Lastly, I thank every attendee, faculty members, students, and guests for joining us this evening. Your participation and enthusiasm make this event truly special and impactful. As we embark on the exciting session of this Congress, let us carry forward the inspiration and knowledge shared today. Together, let us continue to contribute meaningfully to the world of research. Once again, thank you all, and I wish this Congress a great success. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to immerse ourselves in the vibrant rhythms and rich traditions of our culture in a mesmerizing medley of music and dance. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the celebration of artistry and heritage. So our medley begins with Hinayaki Mata Adre, originally sung by Kasun Kalhara and Uresha Ravihari, and sung tonight by Pasindu Karunaratna and Sasvi Jayatilaka, with a graceful dance by Tarusha Induvara and Meenu Nimetri. This flows into Vasaneta Atavanala, originally sung by Umaria Singhavansha, performed beautifully this evening by Sasvi Jayaratna. And finally, we close with Sobana, a masterpiece by Ridhma Vijayawardhana, tonight sung by Pasindu Karunaratna and brought to life through dance by Binu Ridhichandi and Gaggane Pramadika.
සස්සේ මන්මාව දැක්කේ සංසාරයම මම නොවගෙවී තව ඇතින් නිදන් ඉන්න බදරත්තරන් සංසාරයම මට නොදී වසන්ත වනලංගි මුමග බලන් උද්‍යානයක කෙළවරට වී උදේ වදරත්තරන් මන්දාවෙන් නනවේ
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the conclusion of today's proceedings. May I kindly request everyone to rise as the ceremonial procession leaves the hall. Following this, you are warmly invited to join for a reception on the 14th floor of the UZFM Tower. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.